the God who makes a way where there is no way. In the days when Israel groaned under the weight of slavery in Egypt, their cries rose into the heavens. Generation after generation had lived in chains, and their suffering did not go unnoticed. God remembered his covenant, the promise he had made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when the time came, he raised a deliverer. That deliverer was Moses, a man slow of speech, uncertain of himself, asking God, "Who am I that I should go?" But God answered him with words that would echo through history. "Certainly, I will be with you." This is the story of the God who makes a way where there is no way. Through mighty signs and wonders, God struck Egypt. Water turned to blood. Frogs filled the land. Darkness swallowed the sky. And finally, when death passed through Egypt and took the firstborn, Pharaoh's pride was broken. He released the Israelites. More than 2 million people walked out of bondage, carrying joy in their hearts and wealth in their former masters. It looked like suffering had ended and freedom had begun. But freedom's road is rarely straight. God did not lead them by the shortest path. Instead, he guided them into a place that looked like a trap. Before them stood the Red Sea, deep, wide, and impossible to cross. On both sides were mountains and wilderness. They were surrounded. Then Pharaoh's heart hardened again. Pride rose within him. He gathered his chariots, his horsemen, and his strongest soldiers. With fury, he chased after Israel. The sound of hooves thundered through the air, dust rising like a storm. When the people turned and saw the Egyptian army approaching, fear seized them. The same mouths that had sung now cried in panic. They ran to Moses shouting, "Were there no graves in Egypt? Why did you bring us here to die in the wilderness? It would have been better to serve the Egyptians than to die here." When pressure comes, people often forget yesterday's miracles. Fear makes a heart short-sighted. But Moses stood in the middle of the chaos with a different spirit. He declared, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The Egyptians you see today, you will see no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace." Moses had no bridge, no boat, no visible solution, but he had a word from God. Faith does not deny the sea. It believes God is greater. Then the Lord spoke again, saying something unexpected. "Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward." Forward? Into the water? Into the impossible? Prayer is powerful, but obedience activates miracles. There's a time to cry, and there's a time to move. God commanded Moses, "Lift up your rod and divide the sea." Moses lifted the same rod that had struck the Nile, the same rod that had turned into a serpent before Pharaoh, the same rod that brought plagues upon Egypt. But the power was never in the rod. It was in God. As Moses stretched out his hand, a strong east wind began to blow. All night long it blew. Slowly, the sea began to part. Water stood like walls on the right and on the left, and the ground between them became dry. What was once an obstacle became a pathway. What looked like a grave became a gate. What seemed like the end became the beginning. God does not always remove the Red Sea. Sometimes he turns it into a road. The Israelites walked through the midst of the sea. Children held their parents' hands. Old men walked carefully. Mothers carried babies. They moved forward between towering walls of water. Fish swam beside them, as if creation itself paused to witness redemption. Fear gave way to awe. Panic turned into praise. When Pharaoh saw that Israel had crossed, his army followed. Pride pushed him into the same path. But without God's permission, suddenly, the wheels of their chariots began to fall off. Confusion seized them. Fear filled their camp. They cried out, "Let us flee, for the Lord fights for Israel." Then God spoke once more to Moses, "Stretch out your hand again." Moses obeyed. The waters returned to their place. The same sea that made a way for God's people became a grave for their enemies. The army was destroyed. The way God opened for you will close against your oppressors. The miracle that saved you can destroy what pursued you. Israel stood on the shore and saw the bodies of the Egyptians. The fear of the Lord fell upon them. They believed the Lord and his servant Moses. And they sang a song of victory. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. From slavery to freedom. From fear to faith, the God who made a way then is the same God today. And when you face your Red Sea, remember this: He will make a way where there is no way. Moral and spiritual lessons. 1. God sometimes leads you into tight places on purpose. The Red Sea was not an accident. God said, I will gain glory over Pharaoh. Your difficult situation may be the stage on which God will reveal his power. 2. Fear makes slaves think like slaves, even after deliverance. Though Israel had left Egypt, Egypt had not yet left their minds. Freedom is not only a change of location, it is a change of mentality. 3. God's command is often move, even when you don't see the way. Faith is taking a step before the sea parts, not after. 5. Your past oppressors will not follow you into your future. The Egyptians you see today, you shall see no more forever. When God delivers, he delivers completely.